she's talking about the nurses fighting COVID, but of course failing to mention that those nurses were ill-equipped to fight COVID because we did not have enough masks, we didn't have enough PPE. In fact, PPE early on in the pandemic was shipped off to China, was shipped off to other countries by the Trump administration. But I mean, who cares? Those pesky little facts.
Also, the attempts to claim that Trump provided and gave health insurance to new people under this administration. I mean, it was hard for me to kind of see, but it's the exact opposite. Millions have lost insurance under Donald Trump because of the way that he's chipped away at the ACA. So Kellyanne and Kayleigh McEnany, their job tonight was to appeal to female voters. Kayleigh McEnany was good at that. Kellyanne Conway looks like she's had a rough few weeks, and we know she's had a rough few weeks. Yep. She was robotic. It didn't make much sense. And guys, you can like say that Trump helped you in your careers, that's fine, and supports women, make that case. But let's stop trying to make the case that he's empathetic and empathic and understanding of other people's pain. That's not why he was elected. So it's so polling driven and annoying. He was elected because people thought he was going to run the country like a business, and because he was racist and because he was anti-establishment. That's really what it was. It wasn't because he understood people's pain. They clearly have some polling data that shows that he needs to up his numbers in that area, but don't waste your time. That's the antithetical to Trump, and even his most hardcore supporters know that and like that about him. So come on, guys.
Yeah, Chazpa from our member comments asks, why do I feel so gaslighted? Yeah, I mean, because we all are. I mean, we're experiencing just this, everything is regressing, everything is devolving. And we're being told during this convention that everything is great, that we're the best country in the world. And but again, I know I'm sounding incredibly repetitive and I don't mean to, but I just know through people in my life who unfortunately buy into conservative rhetoric, they love hearing about how great we are as a country. They love feeling the pride of being Americans. And in their minds, anyone who's critical about any part of this country is an enemy, is just anti-American and oblivious to how wonderful and great this country is, even as they're struggling themselves. Like, these are people, and I know this is anecdotal, but I think it is representative of Trump supporters. Even as they're dealing with a horrible economic situation, even as they're having to juggle their jobs from home in the middle of this pandemic, while also trying to educate their kids, right? They're complaining about it incessantly, but at the same time, they're not connecting the dots. They don't see how the inaction and the lack of competence from the Trump administration has needlessly extended the pain and suffering and deaths, by the way, during this pandemic. And it's because people want to feel good. I mean, I think Americans are conditioned to want to, or they're conditioned to respond well to the platitudes and like the grandiosity of like American exceptionalism. Definitely. But it's really nonsense. It's nonsense. You know, if I was like emperor of the world, like these are the kinds of fantasies I have because I'm a weirdo, I would force the federal government to pay for study abroad, not for college students, although sure, let's pay for college students too. But in high school, you have to take a full year studying abroad, any country you want. Because I think travel opens your eyes. I remember in 2007, the first time I traveled out of the country, I was like, oh, but like these Europeans, it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Like, what are they doing? They're having coffee in a cafe. Like, why aren't they working? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, when I went to Barcelona, I was like, wait, they're shutting down all their businesses at 5 o'clock for like a siesta, and then they'll open up shop later. That's amazing. It's amazing. It's a different, people enjoy their lives. And look, I'm not trying to pretend as if like all the countries I'm mentioning are perfect, of course not. But there is this emphasis on family, on actually enjoying the fruits of your labor. And there is a robust safety net where you're not worried about literally losing everything you have due to going bankrupt from medical debt. I want to live that life. Like I want to breathe easy. I want to enjoy my family, you know?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we came so close with Bernie Sanders, and it's painful every single day. It is painful every single day to think about what could have been. And I fear that this is the end of the republic. I think not having a leftist opposition, I thought, I spoke not hyperbolically. I really believe this. If Bloomberg were the nominee, it's the end of the republic, because that means a full right winger has taken over the only left wing opposition party. But it's not too far with Biden. And now I don't even know if he'll win. So I hate to be super doom and gloom about it, because usually I try to, be a little more optimistic to counter Anna's salt. But no, I know exactly what you mean. And
yeah, and like, look, it's the facts are the facts, and I know that this is one poll, and you guys can go ahead and do what you will with this one poll, but I think it's concerning. So CNBC did a poll to see how Americans feel about coronavirus in swing states. They focused on swing states. And what worried me the most is if you look at the numbers in swing states broken down between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, Biden is still leading in swing states, but the margin is razor thin. It really is. It's within the margin of error. And so that's not a good sign. Donald Trump's approval rating has actually increased in recent weeks.
Just because he's talking about COVID, that's all he needs to do. He pretended it didn't exist, and now he's talking about it. And really, when he was doing those press conferences, even though he was bungling it at the beginning of the pandemic, he was still above water. So he really doesn't need to do much, because Biden is just not making his case and staying in his basement.
Yeah, he's using the same strategy that Hillary Clinton did. He really is. It's amazing how we're repeating the exact same mistakes from 2016. You've got to do more than just assume that Trump is going to self-destruct. Because when you're kind of sitting back, you're allowing Trump to run with whatever narrative he wants. And whatever, I mean, people can say whatever they want about Trump. And believe me, I totally agree that he's not the smartest guy in the world, but he gets marketing. He definitely understands marketing. That's the only thing he's really good at. And messaging within the Republican Party has always been stronger than the Democratic Party. And we're experiencing that right now when you really juxtapose the two conventions.
Absolutely. And I meant to say this earlier when you were talking about people in your life who are on the right and maybe just don't consume news in the same way that we do. I have a very similar experience. I think people have a really hard time connecting coronavirus to Trump. And the fact that some people, not everybody, but some people who are kind of apolitical and maybe aren't paying attention to other countries and their numbers and proportionally what the United States is doing, the fact that we're 4% of the world population and 20% of COVID deaths, which is still the most astounding statistic to me. I mean, people are like, well, I've heard this over and over. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What is Trump gonna do? Well, obviously we know that he could have done a lot of things differently, but there's this kind of political malaise where neither party represents, so nothing can be connected to how I'm feeling. People do not connect politics in this individualistic society, in this American exceptionalistic society, to how they're feeling and their financial and emotional well-being on a daily basis when it's entirely connected. And that's part of this American exceptionalism that's broken our brains. And it's part of the media too. And so yeah, again, it's like, I talked to these people in my life. Well, what was he gonna do? What was he gonna do? It's coronavirus. Everything's bad. There's no understanding of how things could have been better. And then I'm in New York, so it's like, well, what about Cuomo and the nursing homes, huh? I'm like, okay, well, I'm not defending that either, but yeah.
But that's the incredible thing. Like yesterday, when that story emerged, the video that went viral of some protesters, we talked about it yesterday on the main show, some protesters, randomly targeting this woman as she's like having a meal and drinking a cocktail at a DC hotel outside. There were some people on the right who were like, oh, thank you for having some integrity to call this out. And it's like, but we call out things on, like in the Democratic Party especially, that we think are not helpful, that we disagree with, that we're very critical of. And I don't know, like Republicans, they're always in line. Like Republicans are always on message. If they ever attack each other, it's rare, but they usually do things, I think, behind the scenes. They don't let their conflicts go too public. They don't air their grievances against one another too often, which is why anytime Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump are going at it, like there's some sort of disagreement, we'll cover it, and that story blows up because it seems it's so rare. It's like a big event. With Democrats, though, I feel like we are critical of each other all the time. And I think with us at TYT, we want to be fair and we're critical of things based on substance, not nonsense. But we never get credit for it. And I don't know. I don't know what the right strategy is, because I think it is right to have integrity. I think it is right to call out things that we think are counterproductive. But at the same time, we are dealing with a political party that's always in line, always strong on messaging. And I don't know what the answer is, because I don't feel represented by the Democratic Party. I don't feel like I belong with the Biden campaign. Biden, there's nothing there for me other than Trump is awful and I want him out.
Let me just make one point about what you said, because I think it's just really important. For me, the reason that right-wing populism, which is largely a myth, but there are some whatever elements of it, or the factions within the Republican Party, like the Tea Party, they can get embraced by the mainstream party and become one and unite, is because they're all not going to mess with corporate power. None of them are.
Yeah,
none of them.
Such a good point.
None of them.
Such a good point.
Right. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
But the left, the insurgent populist left, as opposed to whatever is the right populism.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.